Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Caitlyn updated complete guide for patch 6.2k, and yeah, we're already on the K patch, of course, with the patch preview out. We're gonna have patch 6.3 real soon. But before we talk about anything else, of course, don't forget to check out Caitlyn's basic guide that I'll put up in the cards above right now for her skills, leveling order tips and tricks, as well as a couple of combos, as we have apparently a little bit of connection issues here that thankfully has resolved itself. So, let's get into it. Basically, this build is pretty straightforward. It's the build you always go for, but you're actually substituting in Bloodthirster for Collector instead. Now, I never thought I would see the day where I would go for Collector instead of Bloodthirster, but here we are. So if you take a look at the top three Caitlyn's, you will see that the top Caitlyn still goes for Bloodthirster first, but the second and third actually go for Collector as a first item, and either go for Bloodthirster later on or not at all. Right. So let's talk about what's happening here, right? So it's really very straightforward. Basically, you're just taking Collector out and putting, taking Bloodthirster out and putting Collector in. Now, why Collector is better than Bloodthirster is because, in my opinion, Caitlyn is a very snowbally champion now. Since she has a very weak mid game, you kind of have to snowball in the early game to kind of cover up that weakness and kind of have to be a little bit fed to kind of get the job done. So with that respect, in that respect, Bloodthirster doesn't really cut it, right? Because it's very defensive, right? So a lot more offensive alternative is actually Collector, right? Because if you take a look at it and you compare, right, what Bloodthirster gives you is 45 AD, 15% attack speed, that huge shield that you get, as well as some defenses and physical vamp. Now, physical vamp, useful combat stat, but mostly defensive. The lifeline passive is mostly defensive, so in the end, you're really getting only 45 AD and 15% attack speed. Whereas with the Collector, you get the same amount of AD, and instead of attack speed, you get 10 armor pen, 10 lethality, which is a lot more useful in terms of just dealing raw damage. Now, overall, Bloodthirster, of course, is a better item, right? Because basically, you trade off armor pen for like the physical vamp, for the shield, for the defenses. Those are all great, right? But in terms of raw damage, Collector just does a better job. So you go Collector first. Of course, you have Gluttonous Greaves as your boost. Now, notice without Bloodthirster, you have completely no physical vamp at all. So you really got to go for the Gluttonous Greaves for that Omni Vamp. Right, and then you have Magnetic Blaster for the extra burst damage and range, as well as a little bit of extra wave clear with the Static Shift passive. IE, of course, for your increased crit damage, as well as just raw AD, and more reminder for armor pen and Grievous Wounds. Last item, pretty flexible. Something defensive like Maw or GA works. You can also go for something more offensive like Rune's Hurricane, for example. And the Rune's standard ADC loadout spells flash together with Ghost if you can afford to take it. Ghost, of course, really great on Caitlyn just to have extra mobility in fights. But if you can't get it, then of course you might need to go for your Cleanse Barrier or Exhaust, depending on what you need for that game. But anyways, with all that said, now let's jump straight into the gameplay. Okay, so let's take a look at our gameplay itself. Now, of course, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, you guys know I will be sure to address them or, drop a like. So let's get straight into it. And now, who would have thunk that by 6.2k, we're still having updated, complete guides. I thought I would sell all the guides like by the time we made that Kalista one, which was really the last one that I kind of needed to make, which I haven't really done the whole season because Kalista was kind of horrible the whole season. But yeah, so I saw this Collector Caitlyn build in amongst the top players. At one time, all three top players were using it, and I was like, I think that kind of makes sense. Maybe they're onto something here. So let me try it out for myself, which is exactly what I did, and I found that it's way more successful. Now, as I kind of mentioned in the loadout section of the video, I feel that currently Caitlyn, in terms of her power level, I think she's like mid-tier in terms of marksman. Of course, she's nowhere as strong as champions like Varus or Corki, but she's nowhere near as weak as champions like Twitch or Kalista, for example. So I think she's somewhere in the middle of the pack, but I do think she's a little bit similar to some champions like Tristana, right? Where Tristana, I think, is a very strong champion, but you really have to kind of snowball and hit your item breakpoints to really be strong. I feel like Caitlyn is one of these kinds of ADCs. Now, of course, every ADC is going to benefit from hitting their breakpoints, but what I really mean to say by that is that I feel that Caitlyn is a champion that when you snowball, you just become insanely fed and you can just really take over the game. Now, I guess you could kind of say the same about majority of ADCs, but I would say that on some, like especially a lot of the hyper carries, like for example, if you get like early like 2 kills on like, let's say Jinx or Twitch, you're not really guaranteed to kind of take over the game, right? Because really you're just getting to your item breakpoints a little bit faster, and not really, you know, being able to make use of that goal in the early game to really push your lead, right? Whereas there's a lot of other champions that, like, for example, the most obvious one is like Draven, who when you get like 1 or 2 kills in the early game, you can really snowball the game off of those kills. Of course, Draven does have that passive, which allows him to kind of cheat a little bit, but that's just an example I'm giving you of how kills on champion A are not equivalent to kills on champion B. As my Camille support, by the way, goes completely ham and dives enemy on the tower when they still have all their sums. I guess we'll sidetrack a little bit to talk about that, but this is the second game in a row I've got this same Caitlyn support. Because obviously in Master you can't avoid these people anymore, so you run into the same people from time to time, and I've got this Camille support 2 games in a row. This is the second game. Now, I don't necessarily think that she's bad. I actually think that she is fine. It's just that her decision making is very questionable, like what you saw there. I think mechanically she's pretty decent on to good on Camille, but it's just the decision making was just very questionable. Like, why are you diving Ezreal Karma when they have barrier and heal, right? Like, and Karma also has a shield on her E, right? So there's no way you kill them under tower at that kind of situation, right? So I don't know about that. Morgana here getting caught by a few people in the river. We're here to lay down some covering fire. Morgana is able to flash out of the way. Ezreal caught a little bit out of position, but it's actually really Camille that's caught out of position, because Camille just eats all of Ezreal's damage and goes down. Now, I'm not even level 5 yet. I'm trying to get level 5 off of this minion. But Karma, as well as 4 members of the enemy team, are now trying to kill us under tower. I'm gonna have to run away. Of course, Morgana does end up going down. Now, Aesol, I'm not sure what he's doing here, but he tanks a tower shot, which allows me to easily kill him. And he aims his breath into the bush when he just saw me walk out, so that was really questionable. Now here, Brand gets low. I'm just gonna ult him. And Camille's not able to finish the kill, so the ult actually picks up the kill. Now, as I talked about in a lot of my Caitlyn videos, sometimes you just want to ult for the assist, right? Even when the kill is guaranteed from your team, you can't actually lock on your ult to get an assist. So if you lock on the ult and the enemy dies before you fire off the bullet, you actually get a 5-second cooldown on the ult. Now, of course, the most unfortunate way this could happen is if you lock on, your bullet flies out and the enemy dies in mid-air, your ult is going to go on full cooldown. So that's just something to note, that you can get a lot of free assists using your ult, but there's also a risk when it comes to that. But we started the game very good, right? We have 2 early kills, and that is, of course, just brilliant when it comes to a situation like Caitlyn, where you really want to snowball the game. Now, Karma is taking a lot of damage. Pantheon is coming in. I think Camille has ulted the wrong person here. Like, the guy you should be ulting is Karma and not Ezreal, because Karma is the one that's low and can be killed more easily. Ezreal's full HP here. He still has barrier and all, so not really helpful. Karma is still surviving on 1 HP, and I have to flash out there because Aesol has popped the ulti onto me, and obviously if I get stunned there, I'm gonna die. So I'm gonna have to run away from this situation. Now, I can get Collector when I back, I believe. However, we spot Ezreal in the bush, walking inside the bush here. I'm trying to make use of my range to kind of deal damage to him. He, of course, has pretty decent range as well. Now, I know this ult is not going to kill him, but we just want to put him low to kind of dissuade him from going in on us. And the reason why I ult him there is because, for example, if he goes in on us there, we cannot be ulting him at that point, right? We have to be auto-attacking him. So we'll waste the ult damage if you think about it in that way, because we can't ult, because if not, we're going to CC ourselves, and he's going to just hit all his skill shots for free. So the better move is to just ult him first, and then if he actually comes in, we've already got our ult damage off, and now we can just auto-attack him and hopefully win the 1v1. Either way, between the two of us, no one really ends up dying there. We're actually able to back and pick up the Collector, which, as I mentioned, is a very strong early game spike. And here Aesol is back to basically come and gank. And he's apparently just going to recall after that. Now, Camille, as I said, is a very aggressive player. Aesol has not yet backed, and Morgana is getting some free plates as a result. And now a fight is breaking out in the river with Pantheon and Morgana now on the way. Now me and Camille are coming off from the other side. We get the kill onto the Karma. Ezreal gets ulted by the Camille, but there's not much follow-up, including from myself, because I was apparently focusing the dragon instead. Now here, I'm not sure what Aesol is doing, but he's in my ult range, and this might kill him. I wasn't confident it was gonna kill him, But I was thinking with the collector damage, it could kill him, and if I had Bloodthirster there, that ult doesn't kill. By the way, this is I think the like very close margin of whether he dies or not. Like even with collector, I was thinking that probably won't kill him, but it actually ended up killing him, which I was honestly surprised by, I have to say. So with Bloodthirster, definitely that one would have not been a kill. So another, I mean not another, but the main reason why collector is good, of course, is that early game snowball. So here the enemy team must have a ward because I get hit by an Ezreal Q when I'm backing behind the wall. So they probably have a ward in the tri-bush unless the Ezreal just took a very good guess. Now Pantheon comes in for the gank but runs straight into Brand, gets full combo by the Brand into the Karma ult and straight up just dies. Not much can be done there. Camille tries to go in on the Brand. I'm trying to pop the Ghost to get into position to DPS. However, I can't really do that safely with the whole enemy team now coming for me. Here, the Ezreal gets caught. However, I end up getting rooted there, and unfortunately because of that, I get hit by the very tip of the Aurelion Soul ultimate, which means that Aurelion Soul is able to pick up the kill and the shutdown on me. Now if you take a look at the gold situation right now, I have like 6,500 gold, right? And very closely behind me, pretty much even, is Ran and Asol. So those are kind of the two big problems at the moment, right? Ezreal is still doing kind of fine himself, but we are still 1k gold ahead of him. But Brand and Asol are kind of doing a lot of damage at the moment. Asol, of course, now has his Rylai's, which is a very normal first item for Asol, just to slow people down so he can actually do damage to them. So here, we do have our snowball rolling, but the enemy team also kind of has the same situation with the Brand and the Asol. And of course, in this game with the long range, it's very helpful against pretty much the entire enemy team who are not that long range themselves. So with our long range, it should come in real handy. Now here I'm trying to take the tier 1 bot, but Ezreal is obviously here to defend. You can see that from the ward. Karma is also now coming to defend, which is, I guess, fine. So we're just going to have to back off a little bit. This bush is definitely not warded since Karma did not, hit me there. Now here I have to hop out of the Karma ultimate. Now Brand is now here, unfortunately. And unfortunately, that means that Camille is just going to get chain CC'd and go down. Now Morgana makes her way down, but we can't really do very much here. And we're just going to collect the next wave. So I think I've already discussed this pretty in detail as Ezreal and Karma are now trying to go for me. Now Pantheon's coming in, so I'm looking for the turn. He goes for the Karma, and Karma ends up going down. I'm not even sure if I don't even think I got the assist on the Karma there, because I wasn't able to even land any damage before Karma died. But as I was saying, I talked a lot about this already in the Loadout section of the video, but in case you missed it, basically, I think Collector is just way better than Bloodthirster on Caitlyn personally, just because Caitlyn wants to snowball in the early game, and with Collector you just get a lot more raw damage than Bloodthirster, which gives you a lot more defensive stats. Now I still think Bloodthirster is fine to build in the later stages of the game. Like you could substitute IE for Bloodthirster, or you could even just straight up build Bloodthirster as a 5th crit item and go to 125% crit. But in this game, I was kind of just snowballing so much, as you guys can see here, that I personally just felt that just going for just raw damage item is probably better than just going for something defensive in this case. Because when you're just snowballing, right, you kind of just want as much damage as you can get. And that's kind of really what I was going for here. So here Morgana's getting caught a little bit by Brand and Asol. We're coming to back her up, myself and Pantheon. I'm just free hitting onto the Karma, who is a little bit out of position. Now I put the trap down in the choke point. Brand walks straight into the trap and just gets destroyed by my auto attack, by my hit shot. And people are all walking into the trap. So I put that down. Karma walks into the trap just as I put it down, which is just funny at this point. And we are hitting Asol. We're gonna go forward. Ezreal getting caught. Just look at that damage, by the way. And we're gonna ult Karma. Karma dies. And now Asol's kind of trapped. And here I actually managed to get in the Q over the wall into the last auto with the ward to actually kill the Asol. Pretty well played by myself mechanically there. And we're able to kill 4 people in total. Unofficial quadra kill there, with now Set being the last person left alive. Set not doing too well, but is still of course a tank who has Heartsteel first item, so he's going to be a little bit difficult to take down. But here you can really see what I kind of mean by when you snowball on Caitlyn, you just really feel the power, right? Now here, we get so much gold that we buy the entire IE just off of one base. So now we're at 3 full items. just like 11 minutes plus into the game, right? And you can see on Caitlyn, like when you're fed, it's a lot like Draven, right? Like when you're fed, you just start one-shotting people in a couple of auto attacks. With Caitlyn is very, very kind of similar. Like at this point, we're so fed that we probably only take a couple auto attacks to kill, someone on the enemy team. And that's really when, like, what can you do, right? Caitlyn is such long range. She becomes like a walking tower that just does so much damage to you when you get anywhere near her. And speaking of which, here you can see, I'm just going to start blasting the Asol. Asol is just running away. He takes quite a bit of damage, and now Set's the nearest target, so we're just going to hit Set, get the kill onto the Set. Unfortunately, we don't have Ghost here. If it goes this is like another easy kill for us. And, yeah, so here, it's a pretty funny situation, right? Because we have Set dead, we have Ezreal on the other side of the map. Me and Morgana are thinking this is a good time for Baron, but my team is thinking it's a good time to kill Brand, who is the jungler, granted. But here, Brand goes into the stasis, and he's gonna go down. Now, Asol is now the next challenger, so now we're gonna have to. Now they're going for Asol, so I'm like, man, we don't need these kills. We can just go for the Baron. And now we have Set, who's reviving, and Asol and Brand, who are dead. Now, Pantheon and Camille now are both backing, so with myself and Morgana, we cannot two-man the Baron because we're both kind of squishy, no one can tank the Baron, and we're also both going to get reduced damage from Baron, so in the end we just can't get the Baron because our team is just not cooperating. Now, after everything's already over, now Pantheon wants to do the Baron, when Brand is like respawning and so is Asol. So now, Pantheon now starts soloing the Baron. And I'm like, wait a minute, like what's going on? Like, why are we doing the Baron now? So now Pantheon is now just spamming to do Baron. I have had enough of his nonsense. I'm gonna go help Camille against the Ezreal. I'm gonna pop the ulti onto the Ezreal just to give Camille a chance of surviving. Just look at this. One auto attack, just one-shots him. Like one hit shot, just one-shots him from like a third HP. He just straight up goes down. Now here's Brand now. I'm not really keen on going near Brand because I believe Brand can one-shot me faster than I can one-shot him. So I'm not too keen on messing with him. I'm just going to clear the minions and I'm just going to back. I now pick up my Mole Reminder, which now makes it such that I have 100% crit. And of course, since Brand and Asol are the two most fed members on the enemy team, it kind of does make sense to go for a Maw in this game. Speaking of Brand, here he comes trying to kill Morgana. Morgana pops the stasis to survive the Brand damage, and just look at this. Auto, Brand dies in like 2 auto attacks. Just like that, right? Like that's how much damage a fed Caitlyn does. And like, of course, I do have 4 full crit items now, so all my autos are critting. I'm 12, 1, and 3. Just really, really fed. And yeah, that's just why this is the best build for Caitlyn. Now, I've lost to this build. I've gotten destroyed by this build before. I've destroyed people with this build a couple of games as well. Now here we do have the Baron. Unfortunately, Asol, you can see it just puts down his E, and makes it very hard to push with the Baron. Now we're pushing basically all lanes at the same time, with Ornn pushing top and Camille pushing bot, at least for the moment. Now here I get the ult onto Asol, but he survives on 1 HP. Can't say the same for Set though. And I'm pretty low at this point, so I'm like, if a Brand out there is probably gonna kill me, but thankfully he doesn't actually ult. Now here he gets caught completely and goes into the stasis. Now I get sniped by an Ezreal ult here, unfortunately, so I'm not actually able to kill Brand. Nice snipe by the Ezreal, and my trap does end up saving one of my teammates. Now Ornn in this entire time is just split pushing and getting the top lane tower here. And Asol now is trying to run away from Camille, but it's really difficult to run away from Camille. She just goes for the hookshot wall dive into the stun. And here Ezreal is trying to stop the Ornn, but he cannot do so, and he ends up going down. Camille and Ornn now pushing together. Ornn tries to give Camille the crafting, but fails. Now does it. And we have Brand who's trying to stop him. Camille is trying to help out, but I think Camille is more of a liability because she doesn't have any HP to help. Brand nearly goes down. Huge gargoyles comes in from Braum. Sorry, not Braum, Ornn. And myself and Morgana have just respawned now. Ornn, at this point, I was thinking, Ornn is dead, right? He just took a W to the face and he's just gone. But he isn't. So myself and Morgana actually end up turning to try to help him, which the enemy team can probably see. He does end up going down here at this point, taking the true damage again. But we do trade the kill for Set, and Brand is now caught in the pit. But I thought he was caught in the pit up to the point where he just one-shot me, just like that. I'm like, ooh, like that brand does so much damage. I'm trying to get to my maw as quickly as I can because I really need that magic resist. And Baron's now 20 seconds from spawning. I'm gonna spawn around the same time as Baron. And so is the Ornn. So enemy team actually does have a little bit of an advantage at this Baron if they use it correctly. Here Pantheon just gonna be clearing the wave, setting up for Baron. You know, always want to have the push. Now myself and Ornn have respawned. We're trying to make our way. Now I wanted to take the red buff, but it's too risky. I cannot be wasting time taking the red buff when Baron is up. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to just run over there just in case, you know, the enemy team is gonna come and contest us or anything like that. Now Brand is completely caught out of position. He doesn't have the stasis anymore, I believe. Well, he does have the stasis. And here I just end up taking a lot of damage here. I'm taking a lot of Brand damage, and now I'm like 1 HP. I'm gonna have to pop the stasis. I flash away so Set doesn't kill me, and now I'm gonna have to DPS at max range because I can't get near anybody. If not, I'm just going to get destroyed by their damage. So here you can see I'm just ulting to just get a little bit of free damage in. Brand nearly dies. And here you can see Ezreal does see where I am because of the ward, but I'm able to keep max distance and finish off Ezreal and Brand. And that gives my team an ace. And with that, I can do the Baron. Of course, can't be tanking the Baron because I'm low HP. Or now gives me the crafting, which is really, really helpful. This allows me to pick up the Maw when I'm out of the base, like so. But I am still like half HP, so with only the Glandor's Greaves as my lifesteal, really difficult to kind of regain health because obviously like the 8% physical vamp is not really the most in the world. Now here we get the tower and we're trying to end the game, but unfortunately the enemy team is all respawning and it becomes very, very risky to end the game. I'm getting very low again. Set does a lot of damage, but eventually does die. I'm really, really low, so I'm thinking, you know, I don't want to mess with this. Thankfully, I accidentally sidestepped the Ezreal ult. Brand ults the Ornn. Ornn takes a lot of damage, loses half of his HP. Now I'm still trying to lifesteal off of these camps. Now Elder Dragon is up, Pantheon is doing it. I honestly don't really know if we need Elder to end the game, but since it's there, we're just gonna grab it, and with the Elder in hand, we should be able to just run straight into the enemy base, kill them and end the game, or scare them away and end the game, whatever works. And so here we combo Brand with the headshot, and we're able to just kill him just like that. And there we have it, there is the end of the game. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.